Bayou Teche was one big river. Some of the meanders are much, much larger than the present-day meanders. And right now, we don't know exactly where Bayou Teche ended up. I think I know. I need some evidence. So I'm taking my students and we're going to start a research. We know that Bayou Teche, which you know, New Iberia, Franklin, Jeanerette, Morgan City. And Morgan City is cut by the Chapelin, but we can trace it over into Bayou Lewis, which is the Big Bend, and then into Big Bayou Black. We're right through Homer. After that, we lost it. The intercoastal was dug, obliterated it, and then, but I think I know where it went. Since these new satellite photos came out, there's a trace of a stream paralleling Bayou Lafourche. It was cut by Bayou Lafourche and Bayou Terrebonne and all these other guys too. And it comes out, and there's a remnants of a Birdfoot Delta in coming out of Bay. Now that's not what the book says, but I think that's what it is. There's two ways I can find out. One of them, the Chapelin River, I'm sorry, the Red River flowed into the Bayou Teche. And if you go along when they cut, after they cut the sugar cane in the fields around Franklin, you can see those red sediments. The Red River is red. Brings that red sediment all the way from West Texas. And so that red sediment, and now, when they were digging some waste pits on the River Road Highway, Rombois, I saw some red sediments coming out from the restricted area. I couldn't go in there, but we're going to go do some boring. We find the red sediments down there. That's a great deal of evidence. Second thing is, the Teche being older, it had an older prehistoric culture. We call it the Marksville, because at Bayou Teche flowed through Marksville, and Marksville pottery is distinct, has a pattern unlike any of the others. They would take the clay and shape it and use a pattern. So that Marksville, so if we can find some Marksville pottery, and then find there's other evidences too. We might be able to use some fossil evidence, but we're going to start doing that. And so, okay, let's see, that's number three. Then after the Teche to the west, it went back to the east, this time way over and formed the deltas in St. Bernard. And by the way, each of these deltas had a chain of barrier islands, an arcuate chain right out in front of them. For instance, the old Marion one had Ship Island, which was still an island in the 1850s. It's gone now. There's a lighthouse on that. It had Tiger Shoals and Trinity Shoals, which were really barrier islands, but they sunk. And keep that in mind about the sinking thing, because this is the whole story. The Medway Ridge, those barrier islands, so the St. Bernard Delta, those barrier islands are just about gone, Chandeleur Islands. Then it came back from the St. Bernard into Bayou Lafourche. Bayou Lafourche, the original course of Bayou Lafourche, it turned at Thibodeau, and actually it was a fork. That's why it was called Lafourche, not the fork down there, the fork at Thibodeau. It made a fork at Thibodeau, and it turned and it came into Bayou Terrebonne, into about where Homer is, and then it formed the Birdfoot with Little Caillou, Terrebonne, Little Caillou, Grand Caillou, Bayou du Large, Cornichant, and those others. So typically, another thing typical about the Mississippi Delta, besides the Bill and Barry Islands, is the Birdfoot. And if you look at on a map, the present day Delta, you see that it does have a Birdfoot. Okay, then after Terrebonne, then it left that course and went into the present Delta that's there now. It's called the Plaquemines, or it's sometimes referred to as Balize, B-A-L-I-Z-E. And now, while I was at LSU, Dr. Howe, the greatest teacher back then, took us on a field trip up to Old River, which is right on the west side of Mississippi, right across from Angola, north of Baton Rouge. And that's the most awesome thing I ever saw. The Chapelin was captured in Mississippi. And if you could have seen that water coming through, you could hear it miles away. It's like a roar. And course, the Chapala would have been the Mississippi would have abandoned that course. And
About what year was this?
This was in 55, 56. Okay, but then they went back and they dammed it off, and but it kept on. And in '73 it broke loose again. And this time they went and put a control structure. Now I haven't visited the control structure, but the Chapala is receiving about a third of the discharge.
So this is the Point Capine?
Yeah, I think it's Point Capine, yeah. I'd have to look on the map, I'm not sure. It's right across from, it's north of Baton Rouge on the Mississippi River, and at a place called Old River. And see, the Chapala comes very close to the Mississippi at that point. And so it broke through, got into Chapala, and Chapala was capturing the entire float. But then Corps went in there, and Corps went in and dammed it off, but it didn't hold. It broke through again in '73, I believe. Check, I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
So that was from about 55, it was tried to stop it, and then it broke through in '73, so it took about 20 years of a patch that broke off,
right,
and then they came in with a massive control structure.
Right, now they got a control structure, and they allow, and I stand corrected on this, I think it's about 1/3 of the discharge. It's going through the Chapala.
They quote 70-30.
Okay,
so you're right.
Yeah, okay. Now, and one of the next places I'm going to go to is to look at the delta forming at the mouth of the Chapala. Beautiful bird foot. In fact, there's two deltas there. There's the Chapala River delta itself, and then there's an offshoot that comes from the Chapala Basin into the Wax Lake outlet, and there's also a delta forming there. St. Mary Parish is growing in size. So you see how this land was built. Now, the mechanism that makes this happen is that this delta is subsiding. It really has to subside because where would all this sediment be built? So the sediment is deposited and it's sinking. Now, if we don't know how deep, how thick this is, but it's one of the most awesome geologic structures of its kind on this planet. We think there may be in excess of 60,000 feet of sediment that is accumulated and subsided. If you look at some of the older rocks in Louisiana aren't exposed, except in the western part of the state. About Lake Charles going north. And if you go, we went on many field trips, and you go through the geologic column, and all these sediments are inclined towards the Gulf. Then, with all the drilling, we have a pretty good picture of what's happening. So what it is, it used to be called a geosyncline. In geology, a syncline is when you have sediments downwarping like this. But anticline is when they're coming up. Geo means earth, big. Geo is a Greek word, for earth, and it means a big, and it is big. This structure began forming probably during the Jurassic, because we find all the numerous salt domes that we have in South Louisiana. That salt accumulated during Jurassic times, and was forced. Salt is lighter than clay and sands and silt, so it works its way to the surface. Some of the domes are sticking up above ground, such as Avery Island, Weeks Island, Jefferson Island, and so on.